on this video, I'm going to show you 3 things that you probably haven't heard yet on how you can move the needle on burning that belly fat and burn it fast.
Dr. Mindy Pelz is a renowned holistic health expert, best-selling author, and functional medicine practitioner who specializes in empowering individuals to achieve sustainable weight loss and optimal health. With over 2 decades of experience, Dr. Pelz combines cutting-edge science with practical lifestyle strategies to help people balance hormones, reset metabolism, and break through weight loss plateaus.
Okay, the first thing, the belly fat, which is such a common thing for so many of us to want to get rid of, there is really one hormone that we want to address, and that is cortisol. Because I really want you to remember that cortisol and belly fat, those go hand in hand. So as your belly is growing, it's not always diet related. It can also be stress related. So let me give you 3 tips you can do. Tip number 1 is that we have to use cortisol, otherwise we will store cortisol. The hormone cortisol naturally gets produced in our body and it peaks about 2 hours after we wake up. And when cortisol peaks, what your body wants you to do to be able to use cortisol is move. So when we know that the height of cortisol should be 2 hours after we get up, then we should be moving 2 hours after we get up. And if you're not moving 2 hours after you get up, then what's happening is that is going to get stored in your belly.
Exercising in the morning is an excellent strategy to optimize weight loss because it helps kickstart your metabolism, allowing your body to burn more calories throughout the day. Morning workouts also encourage the body to tap into fat stores for energy, particularly if done in a fasted state. Starting your day with physical activity can enhance mood, improve focus, and regulate hunger hormones, reducing cravings and promoting healthier food choices.
So remember, cortisol wants you to move. When cortisol comes on the scene, we gotta move or it's gonna be stored in your belly fat. On the other flip side of that, for those of you that are trying to set up a better lifestyle for yourself, I wanna encourage you to front load your day. I do my workouts in the morning, I have my morning meditation and morning time where I get my mind centered, and then most of my meetings are happening between about 8 and 4, and then I like to be done at 4 so that I can start to wind down in the back half of the day. This is primarily how we were designed. But even if you can be conscious of that, your cortisol wants you to front load your day so you can move with it. The more we get the stressful things earlier in the day, the less the cortisol stress hormone is going to be stored later on in the day.
High cortisol levels in the morning help provide energy and focus for tackling tasks, but prolonged stress later in the day can keep cortisol elevated, disrupting sleep and triggering weight gain, particularly around the midsection. By managing stress and front-loading your activities, you allow cortisol to taper off naturally, promoting relaxation and better recovery in the evening. This balance supports healthy sleep, which is critical for weight loss, hormone regulation, and overall well-being.
Okay, second tip, and it is the power of the 36-hour fast. This is specifically belly fat. So I quoted a research study in Fast Like a Girl, and it was a 30-day study where they looked at people fasting 36 hours on and 12 hours off. And they repeated that for 30 days. And what they found at the end of that day or at the end of that month was that the prime location that the people in that study lost weight was the belly. So we've got to sometimes lean into the longer fasts. If you're specifically going after belly fat, I highly, highly, highly recommend you throw some 36-hour fasts into your fasting lifestyle.
A 36-hour fast can be particularly advantageous for weight loss, especially in the belly region, because it extends the body's time in a fat-burning state. During fasting, insulin levels drop significantly, allowing the body to access stored fat more efficiently, including visceral fat around the abdomen. Fasting triggers autophagy, a cellular repair process that enhances metabolic function and reduces inflammation, further supporting fat loss.
And it's really up to you how often you do it. I've seen people in our academy do it once a week and really change the circumference of their waist. I have other people that I've worked with that do it once a month just to make sure that the belly fat doesn't accumulate on their waist. And then I have other people that do it once a year. And I want to encourage you that once a week is probably good, even though the study was 36 hours, 12 hours of eating. You could try to reproduce that. but I want to set you up for long-term success. Always be safe. Please always be safe. And then the third one, and this is really interesting because I haven't really talked about this a lot, but what we have to know when it comes to burning fat is that there are two different types of fat. So think about that for a moment. This is very much like metabolic switching. We have two different energy systems. So the two types of fat are white fat and brown fat. White fat tends to be that stubborn fat that is very hard to burn. It's also the fat that's going to kill you. So it's the visceral fat. It's the fat around the organs. It's the fat around the belly. That is white fat. And the more we try to diet and go after the white fat, the more it's like banging your head against a wall. It gets really frustrating. So what we know from science, thank you science, that we know that fasting turns white fat into brown fat. Now, brown fat is much easier to burn. So we want to mobilize that fat. We want to get it so that you have more brown fat, so all the different fasting lengths will be more accessible for burning and turning into ketones. White fat doesn't turn into ketones as easily. Brown fat does. Just the habit of building a fasting lifestyle where you are fasting most days, you're not fasting some days, you're experimenting with the longer fast. This is what our primal ancestors did, and this is what we're genetically made to do. So, and in the action of your fasting lifestyle and varying your fasts, you're gonna turn white fat into brown fat. And now your workouts are gonna burn that fat easier. The next longer fast you go on is gonna burn that fat easier. So it's like you're taking the storage of fat and you're making it more accessible. So keep building yourself a fasting lifestyle. The other thing, and I'm gonna give this as a bonus, I'm going to tell you it's not my favorite activity, but a lot of you are doing it, and I want to explain why it's so good for belly fat, and that is doing cold plunges. So cold plunges, the science is there that cold plunges turn white fat to brown fat.
Cold plunges, or exposure to cold temperatures, have been studied for their potential benefits in weight loss. Research indicates that cold exposure can activate brown adipose tissue, a type of fat that burns calories to generate heat, thereby increasing energy expenditure. For instance, a study by the National Institutes of Health found that prolonged exposure to mild cold increased brown fat activity and improved insulin sensitivity in humans. Cold exposure may promote the browning of white adipose tissue, converting it into a more metabolically active form similar to brown fat. This process can enhance calorie burning and contribute to fat loss. A review published in the International Journal of Molecular Sciences discusses how intermittent cold exposure can influence adipose tissue and metabolic health.
So if you really wanted to put all these concepts together that I just spoke of, you would work out 2 hours after you get up in the morning, you would move, you get up and walk around after stressful events, you would front load your day, you would go periodically do a 36-hour fast, and then you just keep building yourself a fasting lifestyle, and then throw a few cold plunges in there every once in a while. That's gonna get at belly fat, I promise you. So I hope this video opened your mind to belly fat, and I hope when you look in the mirror, you don't just keep villainizing it and telling yourself horrible things. Please don't tell yourself horrible things. There's a reason your body accumulated fat. It is to save your life. And once you understand that, it becomes much easier to undo.